and then we had to tell the crew, which was one of the most devastating days ever, because they're all thinking everything's fine. You know, we have a whole crew. Everyone got some bad news. So to answer your question, I always knew that it was ahead of its time, and my proof in it is this. People say, why did you guys get canceled? The plain, simple truth of why we got canceled was not because of Bloody Gurr or any of the rumors you've heard. It was because Jonah had killed it. No, I'm just kidding. It was reasons because our ratings were really low. But the reason our ratings were really low was because when you tested the market, they were only testing 6 to 10-year-olds, which was their demographic. We were like 12 to, a million years old. So that's the plain truth as to why. The first thing that happened was our 3D budget was cut. So Rise of the Zip Boy was the answer to that other question. I realized I went off and didn't answer it. Rise of the Zip Boy, Planet Jackers, and Walk of Doom are amongst my favorites, and Ultra PP. And so when the reason I know that I was right about it being ahead of its time is that now the kids that grew up on the show 16 years ago have all grown up, and now they're allowing their kids at 6 and 7 and 8 to watch Invader Zim. Anybody have kids now that are letting their kids watch the show now, right? So now we got them paying attention again, and hence we have a movie. It's not like they hadn't, offered movies to Jonah before or a series again, but it could never get it right together. And so, to answer your question, I only knew about how big it was when we started going to conventions, because Ricky and I have been on the road for 16 years promoting the show and meeting fans all over the world. So yeah, it's because of the fans of the show came back, so I'm really excited about that. That's a good question. 2.
Yes, do you still get a lot of recognition, presumably from movie buffs?
Thank you.
From your role in summer school?
Yeah, I do, as a matter of fact. I was at my son's water polo game. My youngest son plays water polo, and this woman from the opposing team comes over and like, what are you doing on our side? Stink beast. She goes, I just want to tell you, I love that movie. She was from Hawaii, because they play it on USA every single weekend. It's like The Godfather on AMC. Or Shawshank Redemption. It's just like always on somewhere. So yes, I do. What people don't know is that I did a movie called The Informant, where I played Matt Damon's attorney. And I had this beard, and Jonah goes, because it's so weird to hear Zim's voice coming out of your beard. But it gave me an idea for a series that I'm pitching called Beard Hobos. These guys have these beards out here. It turns out there's like factions of warring hobos living in these people's beards. It's like beards right now. It's like Game of Thrones for beards. Right? That's it, right?
Pitch it to Netflix.
The thing that I love about it is I didn't pitch that one to Netflix. There's another one that Mitch Schauer did pitch that they just passed.
I have a hobo beard.
Beard hobos is one of my favorite because they're like fully grown hobos. They're not like this big. They're like, poof, they fall out. The only reason that, Billy Beardo, this is my lead character who's had a beard out to here since he was 10, discovers him because he's looking at himself, and all of a sudden he sees his eyes peek out of his beard. And then this Slim Jim comes out the beard and goes back in really fast. And then all of a sudden smoke starts pouring out of this beard. He's like, ah! And boom, out drops the hobo. He's like, yeah, man, I knew I should have put out that campfire. I'm really sorry. And that's how he discovers he's got a hobo.
I'd watch that.
And it's not the
For sure.
Yeah. Watch the hell out of that.
Wow. And people don't know that I was the green grapes in the Fruit of the Loom commercials. Who knew that? Very good. Who was 3? Were you 3?
I
You were
think
3.
so.
Yes.
What was it like working with Jonah Vasquez?
Like this. No, Jonah's a great guy. He used to punch us in the neck every time we walked into the booth. He's great. He's exceptionally creative. I trust him implicitly with his vision, because he's had a vision since he was a kid about the worlds that he creates. And that's really what we need. We need to have like a fully described playground in our imaginations in order to play. Because most people think that voiceover is about all the different voices you can do. If that were the case, I would never have worked. Because you can always tell my voice and what I do, except maybe you don't know that I'm like Alpha 5 and Zim. Those are two totally different things. But the thing is that when you have someone that's that creative that can describe the world so articulately and then give you their take on something and then you get to do your take on it, it was just such a happy marriage of all of us because we were all like in our prime when we were doing that. Jonah was young, Ricky and I were young, and we were making each other laugh. So we had no idea about how funny the show was going to be until we saw it. And some of the most touching moments that I've ever had with Invader Zim is that Ricky and I will be in some convention somewhere in the world, usually in the States, and a soldier will come up to us, and just very respectfully, they'll say, "Hello, sir," and I'll, of course, say, "It's good!" I just want you to know that I served like 2 tours in Afghanistan, and I was infantry, and the only thing that would ever make us smile after a horrific battle was your show, and we would laugh again afterwards. And that was really touching. That always moved the heck out of me. I did like a tour of Walter Reed after soldiers had come back, a USO tour, and they had just had horrible injuries. And you'd walk into these rooms. I mean, they had just been on the battlefield like a week prior. And they would light up and they'd laugh and they'd quote their favorite lines. And you just, you work in a business where you think, I get paid for doing these silly things. And then you always question, am I contributing anything to the world? Because that's always my question is, am I giving something to the world or am I just always taking from the world? And when you have those moments, you realize, wow, you touch people's lives. I mean, I've gotten letters from people who were suicidal. I've got letters from people that say, my God, it was the roughest time ever being in junior high, which it is. And your show helped me laugh again. And so then I feel, okay, now I feel good about what I do. So that's a good question. Yes? Okay, then let's move on. Okay.
I don't want to promote like smoking or anything.
Yes!
Is your voice naturally raspy?
It's so funny you say that. Yes, it's naturally raspy. But when I came see, Billy and Mandy came first. The pilot to Billy and Mandy was on this You Choose thing on Cartoon Network many years ago. So I do that pilot, and then Zim happens, and I'm doing Zim until Billy and Mandy goes into recording, like 2 years after that win. And when I got back, they said, "Are you smoking like 6 packs a day?" I think I told this story, but I wanted if this goes out on YouTube or anywhere, this does not make me sad, so don't worry, because I get a lot of tweets like, "Poor Richard, I hope he's okay. I hope he's not." Thank you for all of that, everyone. But when we came back to do Invader Zim, it had been 16 years since we had done the show. So while I know like all the popular catchphrases that everyone loved, like, "Oh, why was there bacon in this home? Shut your noise tube, you filthy human stinkies," all those things. It was a new venture. It was a whole new story, same characters and everything, but we were older. We had updated this thing. But I had gotten older. I mean, 16 years, I've done a lot of damage to my voice with these characters.
Oh, yeah.
Just it is, because I'm older now. And so I told this story before, but it's true. When I went to go record, I said to Jonah, "Are you sure?" We did the teasers. The thing coming soonish. So I said, "Jonah, does it sound the same?" He says, "Yes, it's fine. Stop worrying. We pitch it anyway." I'm like, "Okay." And then I made the biggest mistake of all, reading the stupid comments on the thing. And somebody had written, "Is it me or does Horvitz sound like he smokes 6 packs of cigarettes a day?" But true to the internet and the fan base, someone came to my defense and said, "Give the guy a break. He's like 80.
Oh, poor you.
I'm really only 78.
Whoa.
Yeah. It didn't hurt my feelings, whoever you are, but I will find you. Yes. I see you, Mr. Batman. How are you? you good? Alpha 5? Ay, 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 Zordon, the Power Rangers are in trouble. Again. In the same place. Over and over. Zordon, why don't we just move out of Angel Grove? Or Zordon, why don't they just start as the Megazord?
We got a lot of suspense.
Hey guys, let's not get all sweaty fighting putties that just disappear. You know what my favorite Alpha 5 episode is?
What?
When Zed marries Rita.
Oh!
Yeah.
Because in that episode, it's a two-parter. Alpha turns evil. I was drawn to those evils. But we were doing that show, and it was when Tombstone had come out. And Alpha turns evil, and I was allowed to improvise a lot as Alpha 5. My question was always, if you're going to create a robot, why would you make him neurotic? I don't know. But I wanted Alpha to say so badly when the Power Rangers come into the command center, it's totally destroyed. I'll be your Huckleberry. And we recorded it. I'll be your Huckleberry. And Alpha just steps out like Doc Holliday, right? We couldn't do it because Tombstone was out, so we couldn't say it. Yes, sir.
What was your favorite style?
You know what? I really like Imaginators because you can create your own powers.
No, like your favorite one where you did your own like voice.
Oh, you mean which of the ones was my favorite that I liked my storyline? Well, Trap Team, because that was predominantly about chaos. So I like Trap Team.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yes.
Being a voice actor is an amazing job, but not one that most people grow up thinking they're going to be. Did you think when you were young that you were going to be a voice actor?
No, look at that head.
And nobody who's in it did either. And if they tell you, well, I've been practicing voices since I was 5. Remember, Mel Blanc and June Foray were both on-camera actors before they ever became voice actors. They gave it their shot. Most of us who are in voiceover now started out as musical theater people, comedy improv people, or band singers, like in bands, like Rob Paulson, Jim Cummings. They were all singers in bands and stuff. And we all still sing in shows. You'll see, like, especially Animaniacs.
Yeah.
But no, in fact, I knew nothing about voiceover when I got into it. I kid you not. I had started as a child actor when I was 10. I had done shows like Head of the Class and
Right.
You Can't Take It With You and Different Strokes. All those shows when there was only 3 networks. And then around 1988 or 89, there was this Writers Guild strike. And I had done the movie Summer School, and I had done another movie called How I Got Into College. And so I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm set for life now. And then no work. And then no work. And then bills. And then collections. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to figure out a way to make some money. And so my commercial agent at the time said, I said to her, don't you have a voiceover agency here? Yeah, but we're not related. You have to go over to them. And I literally knew nothing about voiceover. And I said, how do I do this? She goes, well, you got to make a demo reel, which back then was a reel-to-reel.
Yeah.
So I did it. And the first month I was with them, I booked 3 radio spots. My first voiceover job ever was I said, bye, Dad. That was it. Played a teenage kid. I thought, wow, this is really great. You know, back then you made like $175 a spot for 13 weeks. And then if they use it again, they pay you that again. I said, wow, if I do like 6 of these a day, 5 days a week, I'll be making bank. And I didn't realize it was just as competitive as on camera. That's really how naive I was. And so I turned my focus to animation at that time because you get a different script every day, every week. You get regular employment. You also get to work with the best actors in the world, on camera and off camera. I've worked with everyone I worked with Michael York on Angry Beavers. That's how I just learned to love it. And now, because there's so many outlets that people can show their wares, the money you make on camera is almost equivalent if not less, than you make for a 4-hour recording session. So I said, okay, I can do this. I don't have to worry. People always saying, he doesn't sound like he looks. He doesn't sound like he looks. One of the stories that I always tell. I actually told this story to Mr. Bill Shatner. I think he was listening. When I used to take my kids to go to the drive-thru like McDonald's or something, and I would always go, oh yeah, I'd like a quarter pounder with cheese and a soft drink and a French fries. My kids would always go, why do you do that? And I said, you'll see. And they would go, okay, that's a quarter pounder with cheese, French fries, and a soft drink. Would you like to supersize that, ma'am? And I would always go, this is a sir! And so that is why I like voiceover, because it's actually a plus as opposed to on camera where he doesn't look like he sounds. He sounds like he should sound like lower, like he should sound like Brad Pitt if he looks like Brad Pitt. So. 1, 2. Buckle my shoe.
3, 4. Let's ask some more.
5, 6. Don't be a. Oh, sorry.
What are you watching these days?
Better Call Saul. Love Better Call Saul. I love Breaking Bad. I'm watching American Gods.
Yes.
That thing is trippy. Anyone seen that?
Vulcan.
Animation-wise, I'm a Mike Judge guy, so I like Silicon Valley because of Mike Judge. But I loved Beavis and Butthead. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Have I bored you? A train? Droids? Those are not the droids you're looking for! They're sneaking along the wall. Yes. What? Curse the board games! They only lead to evil, young boy. Yeah, what you say? Worm baby! What else? Game of Thrones, which they've broken up into 14 seasons, 3 episodes. So Game of Thrones, I was at a convention with Peter Dinklage, and coolest guy ever. Just really, really cool. Cool style too. He dresses really coolly, and he wears this cool Seattle knit cap that I couldn't pull off if I tried. And I said to him, hey man, the only thing that sucks about being at a convention on Sunday is we're gonna miss the new episode of Game of Thrones. And he looks at me and he goes, yeah, and it's not like it's not on HBO where they show it 42 times a week. What else do I watch? Gosh, I have a lot of stuff I watch. Predominantly, like every American, we're obsessed with the news cycles because it changes so ridiculously fast and it's a horrible time. That's it. Yeah. But other than that, those are my main ones, like Better Call Saul. I'm thinking what I have on my DVR.
Have you gotten to Rick and Morty yet?
I like HGTV. I just love House Hunters and House Hunters International. And I love Tiny House. And I say to my wife all the time, I'm going to get us a tiny house. We're going to buy a big piece of property, and that will be our getaway for the weekend. Because I am not living in a tiny house. But is there something neat about it? That's the kid in me. That as a kid, I wanted a clubhouse so badly, I would just dig a hole and sit in it. Who had another question? You had a question.
Yeah, for the better part of the last 16 years, I've been wondering, why was there bacon in the soap?
Because Gurr made it himself. Which is why it's my favorite exchange with Gurr, because it's one of the only times that Gurr is totally defiant to Zim with a completely non sequitur answer. It's like, Gurr, I must start bacon in the soap. I made it myself. Okay. But also has my favorite part where he comes in with the pizza and the pig, and he goes, "Come on, pig, let's go to my room." It's my room. Gurr has a room. I've never seen Gurr's room. Gurr lives on that couch with memories on that show. One was just actually getting to play. One of my favorite people in the world is Kevin McDonald, who was a Canadian. He's a kid in the hall.
Yes.
And he plays the almighty tallest purple, and he makes me laugh more than anyone I know. He's living in Winnipeg right now, and so he'll text me. And he just recently sent me a text saying, I'm gonna bomb at a comedy store this weekend, because true to his Canadian roots, he always apologizes before he says anything. Sorry. He says, my dad was born in Hamilton, Ontario, by the way, not too far from here. So I couldn't get my citizenship. But he says they gave 3 credits. He said, you gotta read it. He says, I'm bombing at this comedy club on Saturday night. They're marketing me with 3 credits. And they say Kevin McDonald from Kids in the Hall, Kevin McDonald from the Scream movie, and Kevin McDonald from Angry Beavers. And he said, so thanks for that one episode. And I said, wait a minute, Beavers equals Canada. And he wrote back, exactly. He makes me laugh. So that's one of my favorite memories that happened recently. But my favorite memory is that one day I got obsessed with the fact that Yoda is supposed to be this amazing master who can sense the disturbance in the Force, yet whenever you ask him something like, Yoda, who's the evil emperor? Who is it? Well, you could say, well, it's Palpatine, who's like right next door in the Senate. He's like, cloudy. What? Cloudy? Everything is cloudy. What's up with Anakin? Cloudy. And so Ricky starts going, Yoda, where are my car keys? Cloudy. Where did I park the car? Cloudy. And Jonan was so mad at us. He's like, let's record the damn episode. Then we go to lunch afterwards, and I'm in the back seat, and Jonan's driving, and Ricky's in the front seat, and I just sit in the back like, just stops the car and goes, I will turn this car around! When we did our first Invader Con, there were t-shirts that just said cloudy. Yes?
I'm just wondering, I know how successful you were in your career, but if you did not go into voice acting, what else would you have done with your life?
I think the closest thing was probably I would have been like a neurosurgeon. It's like, we have the security guard that's like walking us around. He's like 6'7". He played for the Buffalo Bills. His name's Antonio, nicest guy in the world. And I looked at him and I said, Antonio, I could have been a professional football player if I were taller, bigger, stronger, faster, and I could throw or catch a football. Why couldn't I be a brain surgeon? You know what? I like history. I'm like a huge history buff. So I think I probably would have gone into something that had to do with history, maybe like constitutional law or teaching history. I like American history. I'm not so big on like European history and world history in general, but it's important to know what's going on in the rest of the world when you're studying American history, so you can't get around it. So I probably would have done something like that. And I always thought I was going to be in musical theater because that's where I started as a child. At 10, I was in the professional equity production of Oliver with people that you wouldn't remember if you ever saw the movie Guys and Dolls with Frank Sinatra. Stubby K, who played Nicely. I got the horse right here. I was in a musical with him. And if you ever saw the movie Oliver, the woman who played Nancy, and that was also Nancy in the musical. So that was my dream. I still love musical theater. I still perform in musical theater when I get a chance. And most voiceover people like Candy Milo and a bunch of people, we still try to do as much musical theater as we can.
What was it like working on Dave the Barbarian?
Ned Frischman, Man of Tomorrow. It was great. I mean, it's like I was doing a lot of those kind of characters after Zim. So I did Ned, and then I did Aviarius on Kim Possible, which was kind of fun. So, I mean, I love Disney. Disney's always been really good to me, so it was a lot of fun. A funny show. And Dave the Barbarian was Keith from Invader Zim, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a small world. It's a small world in animation in general. I mean, we work together like I'll leave here today and I'll be working with Jim or Rob Paulson or someone tomorrow. It's like we spend the weekends together and go to work. It's like way too much time with them. Yes, and then you. Yes.
Would you consider doing a Destroy All Humans animated series as Pox?
Yeah, actually, I would. I mean, there have been. Oh, you have the tattoos of Zim, don't
Yeah,
you?
absolutely.
Look at her arm. It's like a sleeve of Zim. Yes, I like that. She wanted me to sign her arm, and I told her that Ricky and I years ago decided not to sign arms or body parts at all.
It's not my boob.
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
Yeah, Ricky wouldn't sign that either. But he wrote, we don't sign our names on flesh anymore because if you wind up serial killed, we don't want people to think we signed our work. Yeah, I would love to do a Destroy All Humans. I'd like them just to bring the franchise back because they ruined it, in my opinion, with Big Willie Unleashed. It was just awful. We weren't even in it. The original characters weren't even in it, and they just thought, well, we'll just replace the voices, and the joke was on that. But yeah, you know, there's been talk for a long time about a lot of our video games going. Like, Skylanders is the only one currently that I did the voice of the game and they're doing. Psychonauts would be a great TV series, and you know, we talked about that at some point, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Everything takes forever, ever. Even when you're doing an animated series, you do a pilot this year, you won't hear about it being picked up for series for another 2 years. So you just gotta keep going. I call it the planting and the harvesting season. Like, this year is gonna be a planting season. 2 years from now, I'll harvest it. 16 years later, I'll harvest a reunion of Zim. That sort of thing. Who else had a question? Yes. 1, 2. 1.
Were there any memorable roles that you got turned down for?
There was something called SpongeBob. We all auditioned for that. I auditioned for Bender. DiMaggio got it, and the year Bender came out, he and I were up for an Annie Award, which is like the Emmys of animation.
Oh,
He
yeah.
kicked me out. He didn't even show up. I was there in a tuxedo. Crying. Yeah, I mean, we all audition for everything. You know, if you're like in that zone, you're gonna get it. There's things that I turn down, but I won't because I know it's not in my wheelhouse. I mean, I can play, but I kind of know what my zone is. If it's a maniacal, egotistical alien, it's right in my there. If it's a woodland creature, right in my wheelhouse. If it's some sort of a strange, neurotic fool, it's in my wheelhouse. So you want to be typecast in voiceover because, you know, you recognize it. You enjoy when you recognize it. It's kind of like comforting. Yeah. Yes?
Do your kids actually enjoy the shows you're in, or they just
Yeah, you know, it's funny because they, you know, like all kids, they're not going to give you your props. It's not like, I mean, they appreciate it because, you know, they go to college. But their friends knew my shows. And so sometimes it's a blessing and a curse for them. Like, because my son was doing improv and the other improv members wrote their introductions for them. And they would always say, and Jake's father is Invader Zim. And so I always feel bad about that, you know. But yeah, they're proud of those shows. I think they're particularly proud of a lot of them. My oldest son is a writer now, and he's really good. And I think he's now beginning to appreciate more. But because he'll give me his reviews of the shows I make. I'm like, well, it could have been this, it could have been that. I'm like, okay, thanks. Yes. Yeah. Were you 3? I think you were 3. Yes.
Well, I know that like it's been a 16-year gap practically, but how did it feel coming back to like?
A little anxious because it's like, do we still have it? Is the magic still there? Are our voices all the same? All of us, like within like 20 to 30 minutes, we're warmed up with our voices again, our characterizations. But it's like, it was weird. It's like we hadn't left. It's like same, you know, part of the beauty of it is that we all stayed friends. So we all still socialize with each other and see each other. I've traveled, like I said, for years with Ricky. So Ricky and I have that bond that if you've ever seen a panel with the both of us, we know what the other one's gonna say. Like when I say, "Grr, why was there bacon in the soap?" He likes to say, "I slaughtered a pig." And then we sing a song called "I Slaughtered a Pig," which started the whole world slaughtering. We always want. John would kill us. He will not do a musical. Yet in every single show I've ever done, I've had musical songs. Like in Billy and Mandy, it's Scary-o, I'm not scared of baby though. And your beavers, we had Beaver, Beaver, Fever. Although we did have one in Invader Zim. Bow down, before the power of Santa, or be crushed by his shiny boots of doom. You know the really high voice? You hear in the back like a Viking? That's Melissa Vaughn, Gaz. She is a musical theater sensation. She was in the original Wicked off-Broadway. Yeah, she's amazing, an amazing singer. Yeah. Yes?
So you obviously do TV shows. How easy or hard is it to get into movies or anime stuff and other
It's highly competitive now. Like anime, I know everybody and their brother wants to be in anime because it's a good avenue to break in. It's also good for like convention appearances and stuff. A lot of the anime is done in Texas at Funimation and other things, but a lot of the Texas people have moved to LA now because they kind of got their foot in the door for like domestic animation. It's hard to get into anything, but not so much that it should discourage anyone. You know, we never run out of room for new people. That's the amazing thing. There's always new famous people all the time, you know? So yeah, it is hard. But if you're gonna do it, I always suggest that people start with improv classes and sketch comedy because that's, you know, and acting classes. Because it's not about how many voices you can do. People will come up to me all the time and say, oh, watch this imitation, I can do this voice, I can do this voice, I can do this voice. But as my friend Bob Bergen, who plays Porky Pig, says, anybody can do it, Porky. But can you do Porky Pig in love? Can you do Porky Pig doing Shakespeare? Can you do Porky Pig, you know, angry? That's where, in fact, when we go into a session, often we don't know what voice we're going to do. We think we'll try out this voice, and they'll say, no, that's too close to so-and-so's voice, so what if you change? So that's where that part of it comes in. But it's the last thing we do. The first thing we do is breaking down our stories. Yeah. Yes, you. You! Who are you?
Hi.
Who are you?
Matt, a lot of episodes.
Who are you?
A lot of your episodes in the past, and we was Invader Zim. They were fully recorded episodes.
Who are you? Yes.
A lot of fully recorded episodes that just never animated. Do you think they might just animate them and release them since they're already voice recorded?
No. Because one, that was a crew that existed, you know, 20 years ago. So that crew's gone. They'd have to reassemble an entire crew just to do it. And the ones that weren't recorded, there's only one that we did, was a musical called Rats, which was Daggett goes to it was like during Rent. Daggett goes to a musical, Norbert stays home, you know, curling his hair and bathing. And Daggett comes home and proceeds to act out the entire musical, which is about the bubonic plague. Just, Norby, you're gonna love this. Listen to this. Rats, I got the plague. It's in my nose, it's in my legs. My tongue's thickly coated, my eyeballs are bloated. And it was great. We recorded the whole thing. Show got canceled or finished up its run. We got it. And the one that you probably are referring to, they would never in a million years do that one because it wasn't very nice. It's the one where we hear we're canceled.
Oh, yeah.
And Daggett like, I don't know what you're talking about, Nick Salem. You know, because we started calling each other by our real names and everything. It just wasn't nice. Yes?
What was it like the day you got the news that you were going to make the movie 6 years ago?
The reunion movie we just did, I didn't believe it. I wouldn't believe it until I heard it from Jonan specifically. He had to call me and tell me because we've been pushed and pulled for so long that there was always a possibility and never. It's like after a while, you know, you go, okay, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 100 times, shame on you still. When we did it, I still was like, okay. And I always kept track after we recorded. I would check in and say, everything going good? Everyone happy? No one's fighting? No one's good? We like each other? Everything's good? Good, okay, let's keep going. So, yeah, I was very fortunate that the shows that I've worked on, I've had Did I drink this at all?
You did.
I did?
No.
No.
Chris!
Yes.
Had you opened this?
No.
Oh my goodness.
I'm somewhat of a germaphobe. I can tell you a story, but I won't.
Why not?
All right, I'll tell you a story. See, I can do this story. I hate my wife will see this and say, "Why don't you tell this story?" But I hate public restrooms. Anybody in the bar here hate public restrooms? I hate them with a passion. I will not go into a public restroom unless it's an emergency. I have flown to Australia for 16 hours and have not gone in to the bathroom.
Oh no.
One, because I'm sure it's just water that's on the floor. And why does whoever was in there last have to close the whole lid so you're forced to have to open it? Anyone know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So Ricky and I were at a
Use your
convention
foot.
with Ricky's wife, and they know of this thing of mine with germs. And we were in a really nice green room, and we were there with Jean-Luc Picard himself.
Oh.
Professor Xavier himself.
Wow.
And I said, Ricky, we're flying home shortly. I've got to use the bathroom. So they go, okay, let's go into mission mode. So Tavisha, his wife, has this kit with Lysol in it, everything, and gloves and everything. So I go into the stall and I close the door. And after I go out, Ricky looks up and he sees Jean-Luc Picard get up, going into the bathroom. And Ricky goes, "Abort mission! Picard on his way in! Picard on his way in!" I'd expect, too late! I'm already there! And all of a sudden, there in the stall right next to me, Captain Picard. And I said to Ricky, that was dramatic. And he goes, well, what was it like? He said, I don't know. All I heard was him saying, "Make it so, number 2. Yes.
What's the biggest difference between recording an episode and recording a movie?
The process is the exact same, except that it's longer to do because you're working on one storyline. And one of the things that John has said recently is that it's a lot of work to do a movie. You know, every week you do a show because you're on a schedule. There have been times where he goes, I'm not happy with it, but we got to let it go because we got to deliver it. So there's things that he wasn't happy with. But the movie, he said, is taking a long time. And predominantly why it's taking a long time is because the crew, their contract was done by, like, before summer, I guess. Maybe even earlier. And there was still a ton of things to do, but the crew had moved on to other jobs, and so it just left Jonan and Jenny, our artistic director, to finish everything. And so that becomes really stressful. I mean, they're like pulling like all-nighters just to get things done. They've been back and forth to Korea because they have to do retakes on stuff that's just not right for the animation. That's what happens a lot of the times is that, you know, like when we did Billy and Mandy, we like did the pilot and we sent it over to Korea, and then the show got picked up, and somehow they had lost all of our original character designs, so they sent something that looked nothing like the pilot. So those sort of things take time to fix. We still have to go in and do some ADR post-production on it, like I was talking about ADR, but we're close. We're close. I'd say by this time, 16 years from now, we should. It's going to be an opus! Yes.
Given that many takes you have to make don't make it to air, how many times did you make your movie destroy us all?
That I actually did over and over and over and over again. We didn't loop it. Destroy us all! Destroy us all! Destroy us all! I'll take the chicken. Destroy us all! You know, I didn't mind that because I'm in the character. When I'm playing, I like to play. But there are times, like I tell people, if you're going to audition a voice that's like this, that's really hard. You better be able to sustain it for 4 hours because that's exactly what happens. You'll do it over and over again. It also helps with the rhythm of the scene, you know? I like to do like full takes of the scene, and that's what we do. We don't just do line by line. Video games, we do line by line by line. 3 takes each. So Psychonauts we're recording now too. Psychonauts 2. That's gonna be great. It's a great game.
Why are we going to stick with Psychonauts?
Psychonauts 2 is coming. We're still recording it, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's gonna be coming soon to a theater near your house. Yes, sir.
I
Say again? Yep. Go ahead.
I have a thought for you.
Yes.
If William Shatner can record a second album,
Huh.
why don't you and the rest of the crew get together and do an album full of covers in character from Invader Zim?
You know, I think the closest thing we do is the Twisted Tunes panel and stuff. I just,
Which was still great.
yeah, it was fun, but yeah, first of all, we couldn't do that because we don't own the characters. So like all of our characters are from different studios.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like we could do that. But it's a good idea. I'm gonna steal that.
Feel free.
What is it?
Hey!
What is it?
It's a hunter destroyer. It's a hunter destroyer. It's a hunter destroyer machine. I liked Hello Nuggums. That's one of my favorite ones because Zim was right. Zim was right. He knew instantly that that baby was an alien.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Zim is not dumb. Yes.
What's one thing that you really would like to be able to do on the show?
I would like to have a musical. Like, I just love singing.
And then a lot of fun is how quiet they are.
Yeah, no, I'm not a Pirates of Penzance fan. Everyone says that. My favorite musicals are Jesus Christ Superstar, Les Mis. I love Phantom. That's what we should do is Phantom. Zim is Phantom. I think there's actually a shirt of Zim is Phantom. Stop point of no return. No final. Shut your noise tube. Any other questions? One question and then one last one. Anyone gonna? Okay. Last question. You first. You last. Go.
So a lot of voice actors have favorite impressions. Do you have one you like to do?
I do, but I don't know that people would know who it is.
I like to do Gracie Allen from Burns and Allen.
Oh, yeah.
Georgia from Stevens on the front lawn. Singing,
Say goodnight, Gracie.
good night, Gracie.
Bill Farmer, who plays Goofy for Disney, he and I used to do an act where he was George and I would dress up like Gracie. We'd only do it for ourselves, so that was fun. But, yeah, and also I joined Jimmy's store. Yeah, because Jimmy gets he gets more irate as he gets older. Yeah, you just wait a gosh darn minute there, Mr. Potter. You gotta sit there and spinning your little webs. Mary, it's me, George. And of course, Cher. If I could turn back time, if I could find a way. Last question. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Since they're bringing back a bunch of old shows from like Cartoon Network or something, what happens if they brought back like Billy and Mandy?
I would love if they brought back Billy and Mandy, but I really would like to see Nickelodeon bring back Angry Beavers because that's another one that just kind of didn't get its due. They just did like the Nickelodeon 25th anniversary special. They didn't even include Angry Beavers or Invader Zim.
Oh,
which is
no.
like, if I could turn back time, if I could find a way. Okay, I'm done, it says.